accidentally almost rubbed it. That's a future me problem. Yeah, breastlesses, these are like dessert, but it is not for the faint-hearted. I did win something at this raffle. Hi guys, how you doing? I hope you've all been well. Welcome back to the Smash Knits Knitting Podcast. This is episode 12. I'm so excited to bring this one to you. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're new, I'll quickly introduce myself. My name is Ash and I am a knitter based in Melbourne. I live here with my lovely boyfriend John and our crazy cat Bagel. And this is just my space where I talk about all things knitting and fiber related. So if you like that kind of stuff, feel free to stick around. I'm going to be going in depth today about a couple of finished objects I've got. I've got quite a bit of progress on my whips, and then I also have quite a few acquisitions at the end. So as always, I split them up into chapters. So if you want to, skip ahead to certain places, feel free to do that. Now, I also have everything linked down below. So again, if there's anything in here that you see or like, there'll always be something down in the description box. Also, I thought I would mention that if you want to see more frequent updates of what I'm knitting, I do post more regularly on my Instagram, which is smash.knits. So you can check that out as well if that's something that you're interested in. I have a feeling that this episode is going to be quite a long one, so feel free to grab your knitting or something to eat or something to drink. You got to stay hydrated. I got my water, Usually I'm on like the tea or the Red Bull, but my God, I've been so dehydrated lately, so I'm on the waters. Now, before we get any further, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, the Boonwurrung people of the Kulin Nation, and pay my respects to elders past and present. I've only got a couple more things I want to mention before we get into the meat and potatoes of the episode, but if you don't care about that stuff, feel free to just skip ahead. But I just briefly wanted to mention that I do have a new camera and microphone setup, so if it is a little bit weird or there's things that are just different to previous videos, that's why. So I'm using this for the first time, so hopefully everything goes well, but anything that does happen that's kind of weird, I'll try and fix in the next video. But I really wanted to upgrade my kind of setup is because I just wasn't happy with the quality of how the videos were turning out before. I found like there was a lot of kind of color difference and strangeness and just graininess to the previous videos. I just was not happy with it. So I'm hoping that this fixes all of those problems. I also wanted to upgrade my setup as a little kind of celebratory moment, I guess, because we recently hit 1,000 subscribers, which I'm so excited about. Like, I can't believe it. It's so crazy. When I first started this channel, I set myself a goal, a very ambitious goal of 500 subscribers in a year. And I really didn't think I was even going to meet that. So when I hit 1,000 subscribers in less than a year, I was just shocked. I was blown away. I am so grateful for, everyone that's part of this Smash Knits community and is, wants to watch me ramble on about yarn and knitting. It's truly a blessing because I'm sure my friends are so sick of hearing about it. And I just wanted to, tell you from the bottom of my heart that I am so grateful, and it just means the world to me so much. Like, I love interacting in the comments. I love hearing about what you guys are knitting, and I love hearing your takes on different topics in the knitting community. It's fantastic. Like, I'm so lucky, and I was a bit scared coming into the knitting community as someone who is less experienced. It can be intimidating when some people have decades of experience, but all I've received from this community is just love and support, and it means so much to me, and I'm just super grateful. And I really want to do something to share the love, so there will be a giveaway coming up. I'm not too sure what it is yet, but I thought it might be a good idea. Like, you guys know what you want, like, as knitters what you value most. So if please comment down below on like what would be your dream, like, favorite, like, wish list item as a knitter that you would love to win in like a giveaway, and comment that down below so that I can kind of get an idea of like what people want, because I find it so hard sometimes choosing something that, you know, someone's gonna like, especially if I don't know what their taste is. So yeah, if you guys have any ideas, that would be great. Just please yeah, mention them down below. The first finished object that I want to talk about is the Turtle Dove Shawl by Sari Nordlund. Ta-da! I am so obsessed with this. So if you saw my last episode, you would know that I knit this for my friend Rahini. It was her birthday recently, and she has been gracious enough to give this back to me so that I can show you guys all of the lovely details. This is my first, not my first shawl, but my first cabled shawl. It was quite a mammoth of a project to do, surprisingly, because it's actually not that big. It probably measures approximately 1 meter by like 1 meter in length. So it's not actually that long. I know some people are used to knitting shawls that are like 2 meters long and they wrap them around themselves. This is something that's like very kind of small and dainty. And thank God it's not that big, because I feel like this would be a forever project if it was. Don't get me wrong, I'm very proud of this and I think it's so beautiful, but it is not for the faint-hearted. This is not a project in which you can like sit and watch TV. You have to pay attention, and it's pretty much like 99% charted. So if you've never used charts before, I would not recommend this pattern because it is all charted and there are quite a few different cable types, so it can be quite confusing at times. I quickly want to go through the different cable types that are used in this shawl. I don't know the specific names for them, so I'm just going to make up names for them, but you'll get the idea. So this one here is kind of like a whale tail-y looking cable, and then here you've got like a broken rib section. It's like a little broken rib ladder. And then you've got little baubles, which is so cute. I've never done baubles before, and they're actually surprisingly easy. Once you do a couple of them, you kind of get the hang of it. And then this is a twisted stitch cable. And then again, you've got those ladders. You've got these like 2 kind of braided, like chunkier cables, another ladder. Like it kind of repeats, you kind of get the idea. And it's very, very beautiful, but there is like not really a single section of this in which you're just like knitting one straight line of knitting. Like you're either cabling or increasing or doing something. Like you're never not knitting or knitting and purling. You're never just knitting. Like there's always something going on, and that's fine. But you know, sometimes you want a little bit of respite in the middle of a project, and this was definitely one that like took up a lot of my brain capacity. Now this is knit using fingering and lace weight together. That's what Sari Nordlund recommends in her pattern. She also recommends to use 3.5mm needles. I decided to use them and not swatch. I do regret that, just because I found that my tension was a bit tight, and I think that's just because I am like newer at cables, so I just feel like I was just very tight because I was trying to get the cables and I really wasn't good at like managing them loosely. I wanted it to look really like plump and clean, but I feel like in her picture it's a lot more airy, and this is still like a drapey because there's alpaca in this, and I'll go into the yarn in a second, but it's not as airy as hers. And I find that maybe a little bit more length would have benefited with this shawl, because when I gave it to Rahini, she did kind of be like, how do I wear this? Because in the pictures, Sari Nordlund just kind of wraps it around her neck and like ties it. And that's cute, but it does hide a lot of the cabling. So I would probably knit it looser so that I could wrap it around and see some of the cables, because you put so much effort into making them. But they're very, very beautiful. Now I'll talk about the yarn. So I used, like I said before, fingering with lace weight. And the fingering that I used is the Rosarius 4 Meia, and I use this in color Rosa 23. This is a fingering, it's a 4-ply yarn. It is 70% merino and 30% nylon. and you get a 185 meters per 50 grams. And I love this kind of like mauvey color. It's really, really beautiful. It's dusty and pink, and it's exactly what I thought she would love. And then for the lace weight, I've got the Amano Yarns Uma. And this is a blend of like alpaca, mohair, and silk. And this is in the color Lotus, or 1907. And you get 210 meters per 25 grams. Now, I managed to use just under one ball of the lace, but I did use just over one ball of the fingering. I don't know how that works out because you're holding them together, but I'm sure there's some reason behind that. Yeah, so it actually didn't use too much yarn. I think it used around like 230 meters. So if you are using a DK just by itself, try and find a DK that does have like over 200 meters. And I would definitely recommend going up like a needle size. Even I'm not a tight knitter, I always have to go down, but for some reason I was just really tight. So I still would recommend going up a needle size to get a bit more flow and air and drapiness. But I'm really glad I did use like an alpaca base lace, because I feel like it does give that lovely kind of drapiness that I feel like just a plain mohair might not give me. I also think that it's very, very, very soft and very lovely. It feels luxurious. That's one thing that I would say. It feels really lovely and it feels luxurious. And that's what I love about the Uma, is that it's just so fluffy and so lovely. And if you just are not a big fan of mohair because you find it scratchy, I don't find this scratchy at all. I really, really love it. I think it's a great alternative. If you still want kind of that like toughness from the mohair, but you don't want that itchiness, I really like it. Overall, I really love this shawl, and I would make it again, even though it was such a challenge. I would definitely make it again. The instructions were really clear. The pattern is beautiful. I think it just really is a lovely piece to have. It's romantic, and yeah, I love it. So I definitely want to make one myself, maybe in like a lighter color, maybe like a light green or blue. It's just so beautiful, and I would recommend if you are up for the challenge. The second finished object that I want to talk about today is the Oslo Hat by PetiteKnit. So this is no stranger to the channel. I have made a few of these, so I won't go into crazy depth about it, but if you do want a kind of play-by-play rundown, feel free to go have a look at my previous videos, because I do go into detail about how I do the folded brim and everything like that. But this one here I have finished, but I haven't blocked yet. I've just been procrastinating, no reason really. So I knit this in a combination of two yarns. So the first one is the Rosarius 4 Meia in this lovely kind of light pink color. It's called Light Pink 27. And then I also held it with the Gepard Garn Kid Seta in pink 1011. So this is kind of like a berry pink. It's coming, I don't know how it's going to come across on the camera, but I held those two together and they make this lovely kind of mild look. And I think it turned out really well. When I first started knitting it, I was kind of a bit skeptical on how it would look, but I think in the end it ended up looking really, really nice. And I'm super happy with how it turned out. Now, the one annoying thing about this pattern is that because you've got this, you know, triple folded brim, you do have to knit quite a lot of stockinette. And most beanies, you only really need about 200 meters of 8-ply, and this one requires just over that. I think I used about 220 to 30 meters of like 8-ply equivalent to knit this. So yeah, it's a takeaway, but I guess it depends on like whether you are willing to buy that little bit of extra yarn so that you can finish it, Or some people I've seen knit the inside in a different color so that they don't have to use the yarn. And then because of course you flip it over, you won't see that anyway. So that's a good kind of trick if you don't have enough yarn. Another thing I want to mention about this is that there are 2 different patterns for this particular beanie. There's one using DK held single, and then there's one using fingering and mohair. I wasn't gonna pay another like what, $8 for the mohair and fingering version, so I just did it to the specifications of the normal DK single one, and I think it turned out fine. At the end of the day, it's a beanie, you know, it's not a fitted garment that has to like follow the structure of your body. It just has to fit the circumference of your head. I should also mention that I had to use just a little bit of this ball, and I had to use about half of this one. So you get about 210 meters per 50 grams in the Gepard, and you get 185 meters in the Meia. And I really like these together. I have used these for like a sock combination, so using them as a beanie, yeah, no issue. The Gepard yarn, I have found to be the softest mohair that I have felt. I had one of my friends, she's knitting a shawl with the Knitting for Olive mohair, and I felt that, and I don't know if it was that particular color, but it just did not feel as soft as I expected it. A lot of people rave about Knitting for Olive, saying that it's like the softest and it's the only one that they can wear against their skin. But when I compared that to the Gepard, I just found the Gepard was so much softer, which surprised me because this is, you know, this is pretty like, I don't know what in terms of like luxury Gepard is rated at. I think they're pretty luxurious, but I just thought for some reason, because Knitting for Olive has such a great reputation, that it would just be softer. But this is really nice. If you are like able to get this, I would recommend it. I personally still don't like mohair against my skin, even something this soft. So, you know, if you don't like mohair, this probably isn't going to change your opinion, but I would say if you really want to use it, this is probably a really good option. Oh, I forgot to mention as well that I knit this beanie on 3.5 millimeter needles, and that was what was recommended for the 8-ply version or DK version of the Oslo Hat, whereas I think the mohair version of the Oslo Hat recommends that you use a 3 millimeter needle. So yes. Now into the whips. Alrighty, so this first whip is a big one. I've made quite a bit of progress, but I have kind of like prioritized it above some of my other whips. But this is the Lumme sweater by Sari Nordlund, and this is my colorwork yoke sweater. And if you saw me before, I don't think I had split for sleeves yet, or I had just split for sleeves. No, I think I hadn't yet. No, yeah, I think I was still knitting the colorwork, and I was really enjoying it. And I've finally split for sleeves, and I'm doing the body. So I will try and show you this as best as I can, but that's what we've got. And then you can see that I've just started the ribbing. Now I decided that I was going to put a split hem in this because I just like it. I just think it fits better on my body. I think it just does more for my shape. So any jumper really, or vest, I'm going to incorporate a split hem. That's just what I do. This sweater is knit from the top down. It is a round yoke sweater, and you start by casting on the collar, folding it over, like sewing it or like knitting it down, I guess, and then you knit this colorwork out. There are options in it as well to add short row shaping, but the short row shaping starts from like when you finish the colorwork. So I opted to do one of the short row shaping options because there's 2. You can do it like right after you finish the colorwork, which is like along here, or if you want to, you can do it as well once you get down to like the bottom before you do the ribbing. I decided to do it just underneath the colorwork because I didn't want the back to be too much longer than the front, because I feel like when I put on jumpers that should have like an even hem, because I have, you know, breastises, it ends up being longer at the back because like my boobs are obviously lifting up the front. So I didn't want there to be too much of a contrast. And so far I'm loving it. I think this is really fun. This is my first colorwork project and it's super squishy and I really, really love it. I'm knitting this in the, the Patons Baby Alpaca, which is a lovely like chainette style yarn. It's worsted, so it's 10 ply, which is what the pattern recommends. And I'm knitting it in this color here, which is called Birch. And then the contrast color that I'm using is called Alchemy. And this is a lovely 75% alpaca, 19% wool and 6% nylon combination. And it's just really light and soft, but it's not like super fluffy. Like it has, I don't know if you can see like a slight halo, but it's not as fluffy as something like Drops Air or, you know, lace weight fluff. Like it's got that little bit of fluff, but it's really soft, really kind of supple. And this is my first time using it. I really, really love it. It's so nice. And especially for something that can get quite heavy, because obviously you've got all of the floats on the inside. You know, you've got all those floats. So it's like a double layer here, which is super warm, but it can also be quite heavy. I think the chain knit and like ends up giving it a bit of airiness that it doesn't feel like it weighs 1,000 kilos. It does still feel quite heavy. It is like a large size and, you know, there's a lot of colorwork going on, but I'm super proud. I'm super proud that this is my first attempt at colorwork, and I'm close to finishing the ribbing on the bottom, just for the front, and then I will do the back. In her pattern, she does recommend to do about 4 centimeters of ribbing. I'm going to do longer because I feel like doing the longer ribbing, so that's about like 4 centimeters there, so I'll have double that. I feel like doing longer ribbing, I don't know, it just makes it feel a bit more modern, I think. So I feel like I want to do the same thing for the sleeves and just start, because there is colorwork on the sleeves, like start the colorwork a little bit higher so that I can do like thicker ribbing like this. Like this I think is about 8 centimeters of ribbing actually on this jumper. This is a store-bought jumper. I didn't make this jumper, by the way. I like to kind of like buy, this sounds weird, but I like to buy cheaper versions of things that I want to wear so that I can kind of determine whether I will wear it a lot. Because if I don't wear it a lot and I only spent a small amount of money on it, then it's no big deal. But if I like end up investing a lot of money in something like a cable work white sweater, and then I don't wear it, then it's like a waste of money. So I like to kind of trial things cheaply and then see whether or not it's worth investing. But yes, anyway, getting back to the Lumme. Yeah, it's so beautiful. Now this is knit on 3 different needle sizes. You use 4mm for the collar, 5mm for the colorwork, and then you have for the body section, so they're not the ribbing, 4.5mm. Now I think I was too, paranoid that my colorwork was going to be tight, that I feel in some places it's just maybe a little bit loose. Hopefully when it blooms and blocks out, it'll look a bit better. But yeah, I just feel like probably I'm the only one that notices that it's a little bit loose in some sections. Like I'm trying to find something that kind of shows like one of the, like an example of where, but like here. Okay, here we go. So I put my finger next to it. Like, see how that stitch is like quite elongated? I think it's because it's like, it's very loose. So I was so terrified of knitting too tightly that I think I knit too loose. But I think it'll be fine. For a first attempt, I'm happy with it. Another thing that I'm just like usually I always overbuy yarn. Always have like way too much left over. So I always have heaps of scraps. But this time I was like, you know what, I always have too much, and this is worsted weight, so I should really like be all right, because I always have like a crazy amount of leftover yarn. So I thought, oh, I'm just gonna buy 10 balls of the main color, and I'll buy 4 balls of the contrast color. Now 10 balls is not that much. 10 balls is only about 850 meters, because it's 85 meters per 50 gram balls. And yeah, I'm definitely going to run out. I only have this much left, and yeah, literally these two. So it's probably like 1.5 balls maybe. Yeah, 1.5 balls. So I definitely don't have enough to do the sleeves. I might have enough to do the bottom ribbing, but yeah, definitely not enough. So I'm going to have to order some more online. Unfortunately, where I bought it from originally, which was Lumme Spindle, I don't think they have any in stock at the moment. Hopefully they do. I'll have to ask Andrea if she's getting any more in stock, but yes, I'll have to order them online. But lucky Patons is an Australian brand, or like it's produced by the Australian Yarn Company, I think, or Australian Wool Company, something like that. So I'm pretty sure it's pretty available here in Australia, and I'm sure I can find it somewhere else. I might not get the same like dye lot, but hopefully, because this is like commercially dyed, that it'll be close enough where you won't notice it as much. I think I have enough. I have about 2 balls of the contrasting color, that greeny color. I'm hoping I have enough of that. Because it's a small circumference, I think I should be all right. But I really want to get this done because I'm going to Bendigo next month, and I want to wear it there to the Australian Wool and Sheep Show. It's my first time. So yeah, I'm hoping to have this finished by then, because I just really want to wear it there. It's my first colorwork project, and I think it'd be really cool to go to this massive like yarn, wool, fiber event and wear it there, kind of christen it there. Okay, sorry I had to replace the battery because good quality cameras eat through the battery, girl. But anyway, whenever I film these videos, there is just fiber all in the air everywhere. I just feel like one of them is going to land up in my eyes. It's just everywhere. Okay, so this next project that I am working on is like I'm keeping in my little Lumen spindle bag. I love it. And this is my Tolsta tee by Rebecca Clow, or the Creabea. So last time you saw this, I think I was kind of midway through the yoke, and I have now split for sleeves, and I am on the body. I'm right in the middle of a row. Well, I'll be in the middle of a row regardless, really, because it's in the round, but yes. So that's going well so far. Really not a lot to go through with this one because I'm just knitting in the round. But if you didn't see my last episode, this is the Tolsta tee by the Creabea, and there are 2 versions. There's a fingering version and a 8-ply like DK version in the pattern, and I decided to knit the fingering version because I just wanted something that had a bit more drape and felt a bit more summer friendly. And I am knitting it in the Rosarius for Jardim in the color Rosa 41. And it's this beautiful kind of lipstick color. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. It's so beautiful. And this is a, 55% merino and 45% cotton blend. So I had never used a merino cotton blend before, but I really love this one. It is a sport weight, so it's not like fingering. Sorry, I got a fiber. It's not fingering like they recommend in the pattern, but I managed to get gauge using this, so no issue. I'm knitting everything like on the body in 3.5mm needles, and then all of the ribbing is on 3mm needles. Yeah, I think in the pattern she recommends like 2.75mm needles, something like that. But my needles, which are, sorry, I've got like a little point projectors on them. My needles, which are the Lantern Moon needles, they don't come in a 2.75 or a 2.5. The smallest that they go in the interchangeable needles is like a 3, so that's why I'm using a 3. If I had smaller I would, but I don't think it's turning out too bad even in the bigger ribbing. like bigger needle gauge. I think it's fine. I think it does the job. I think at the end of the day, it's going to be all right. I have tried this on since splitting for the sleeves, and I love it. It fits really well. It feels really nice. I love it so far, and I'm so excited to have this. I'm hoping to finish it more around the springtime when it's cold in the mornings and more warm in the afternoon, because right now it's winter, girl, and it is freezing. It's so cold. Like it's fucking freezing. It's freaking frozen. It's like it's so cold. Like you would not believe how cold it gets here. Like it the mornings are 4 to 7 degrees, and that's not even the coldest it gets in like Melbourne, but it feels like negative degrees. It's so cold. And I think that also has to do with the fact that like the houses in Melbourne are just not well insulated, so we just really, sometimes it feels colder inside the house than it does outside the house, to be honest. It's not really appropriate for the weather right now, but that's okay because it's a fingering weight tee and it'll take me a long time to get through. One thing I also want to mention about the yarn is that obviously because it's a cotton blend, it's not exactly moisturizing. So I did like tend to find that it like was drying at my finger a little bit. Not a lot, not enough to really care, but it wasn't like rough or anything. It was just like a little bit dry. So if you have perpetually dry hands or if you have eczema, then I would probably not recommend this particular yarn. That was a pretty quick update because I just don't really have that much to say about it. I'm sure once it's finished, I could show you how it looks and everything. I'll have plenty to talk about, but right now, because it's just like knitting the body, it's really not that exciting. But so far, because I met Gage, I'm finding the fit really nicely. Rebecca recently amended or like updated the pattern to include bust shaping. I think I've knit past the point in which I can add the bust shaping because it really, like, she only recently updated it. I wish she had done it sooner, but I don't think it'll be the end of the world. I think it'll be okay. But if you were worried about like bust shaping issues, she has added that now. I think it's because she also just recently released the Tolsta tank, which is like a, tank version of the t-shirt, and she's doing like a cowl, like a knit along for that as well. So I think she just wanted to, while she added shaping to that, she's like, might as well add shaping to the other one. I love her patterns. I'm, really happy with them, and I can't wait for this to be finished. All right, so this next project is just going to be another quick update because there's really not much to talk about. So these are the Murmuration socks by Summer Lee. So these are from her book, The Sock Project, and they are an all over lace sock, and it has these like kind of lovely arrow pattern. The repeat's really easy to figure out, but yeah, they're really lovely. I've just been working on the foot of the sock, nothing that interesting really to talk about. I just kind of have lost my steam with this one. Maybe I'm experiencing like sock burnout because I've knit so many socks recently, but I also just think that there have been other projects that I've had to prioritize, like obviously the shawl, I had to get that done for Rahini's birthday, and then the Lumme, like I want to get that done for Bendigo. So I've been kind of prioritizing easier projects or, projects that have more of a deadline. So these have been kind of on the back burner, and I don't know why, because I really like them. I think the color is beautiful, and I think the pattern's lovely, and I think they would just be really cute. I haven't knit a lace sock in a hot minute, so I really just want to finish these in the next 2 weeks so I can wear them. So these I am knitting in Lang Yarn's Jawoll in the color Flieder, which is German for lilac. And thank you so much, Intuitive Knits. She commented on my last video the correct pronunciation for these particular, like for Jawoll, because I said Jawoll, and that's what I have like heard everyone call it. But yeah, I didn't even know it was like, European. So I'm so glad that somebody let me know so I don't make a fool of myself. But yes, it's called Jawoll, and then I think I said Flieder, but yes, it's Flieder. So thank you so much for letting me know. If there's anything else that I kind of pronounce funny, like I will not be offended if you correct me in the comments. I would 100% rather get it right than get it wrong, because I don't want to offend anyone. Now this yarn is a light fingering yarn, so it is very, very thin. Like, yeah, it's very thin in comparison to something like, yeah, here we go. In comparison to something like the, what's it called? The Meia. You can see, I don't know how I'm going to show you this, but, ooh, jeez Louise. Yeah, I don't know if you can tell, like, that there's like a difference in thickness, but there definitely is. So this is more of a light fingering than a traditional like indie dyed hand like fingering, and that's fine. Like, just be aware of that when you are knitting, that your sock might end up being a bit tighter. And this is an interesting blend because it's 75% Corriedale, so not Superwash Merino, and then it is 25% nylon. So it does have a little, it's not as soft as Superwash Merino, but it's not rough in any sense. It does feel like it might be a bit more durable, but I don't know. It just feels really nice. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It's not rustic, but yeah, it just feels like it will like last the test of time a little bit better. The only thing I don't like about this yarn is that it looks crazy messy. I don't know if you can see that, but it looks like, yeah, crazy messy when you knit with it. And then when you block it, it looks fine. Like, it totally blocks out. But while you're knitting with it, you're like, oh, this is kind of looking ugly. But yeah, trust, it's all right. Now, in each of the kind of skein hanky thingies, you get 210 meters per 50 grams. And these are pretty reasonably priced. I think I purchased this for like $11. So you can make a pair of socks for 22 bucks. And there will be left over so that you can use the remaining for color work or something like that, or contrasting toes and stuff like that. So really affordable. I really like it. And they have just such a wide variety of colors, which is awesome. Okay, so you've made it to the acquisition section. Thanks so much for sticking around. Yeah, kind of like brief updates, but like a lot of progress, but it's like not a lot to talk about because it's all kind of the same thing. But I am excited to share some of my acquisitions with you. There is kind of a thing going on, which I didn't really notice until I put them all together, but I'm definitely leaning into like the pastel greens and the pinky reds recently. So I've got kind of like most of it in this like basket here. This is not all of it. This is just like a ball out of each of the different types, because yeah, oh my god, sorry. Yeah, this is just kind of like one ball of each of the types because I've bought multiple of some of these, but let's get into it. So the first one that I want to talk about is, this is some Noro Silk Garden Sock Solo that I recently purchased from Little Woolly Makes in Hastings, and I love this color. It's so beautiful. So this color is like kind of like a minty, variegated, greeny, pastel-y dream that I love. I did quite a while ago buy like a pink version, like the light pink version of this, but when I was in there probably, yeah, almost 4 weeks ago now, because it was just after I had filmed my last podcast episode, and I just saw this and I just was drawn to the color. I just love it. And then she had there this awesome mohair. Look at that. Look at how amazingly bright that is. So this is the Little Woolly Makes Lacy Fluff. So it's their own like in-house yarn that they hand dye. And I just thought these two together would make such a beautiful combination. And I know I've talked about this before, that I don't like mohair against my body, but my plan is to make a vest. So my plan is to make a vest out of these two held together, and I think it'll be just gorgeous. So to give you a bit of information about the Noro Silk Garden Sock Solo, I'm going to be looking down my notes because I'm not that good. Oh, actually I can just look at the ball. So this has 40% wool, 25% silk, 25% nylon, and 10% mohair. And in 100 grams, so you get 100 grams in each of these balls, you get 300 meters. So I purchased 3 of these, so I have 900 meters. And then I purchased 2 of these. So these here are 70% mohair and 30% silk. And you get 400 meters per 50 grams. So I bought 2 of these, so I've got 800 meters. I'm kind of playing a bit of yarn chicken with these, but I'm hoping that I'll use less of these. And if worse comes to worse, what I'll do is I'll only use the Noro on like the ribbing around the collar, sleeves, and the bottom, and I'll just hold this to do the main body if I really feel like I'm not gonna have enough. Oh, I forgot to mention the color. So this color here is T16, and this color here is Fresh. So they're so beautiful. And I did knit up a swatch just so you guys could see, because I just thought it looked so good. So this is the swatch. Oh, how awesome is that? Like, how beautiful is that? I'll flip it around as well. Oh, it just looks so good. You've got like the randomness of the Noro. You've got like that little bit of like fluff, and that kind of, it really lightens up those darker patches. Oh, I just think it looks so good, and I can't wait to knit a vest out of this so that I can wear it. I really just want to cast this on straight away, but I know that I have to finish other projects, but I just love it, and I think it's such a lovely combination. It's so soft, and I like the drape is nice. I don't know if you can really see it, but yeah, that is beautiful. So that's one of my latest, that's probably one of my, like, I think I'm the most determined to cast on straight away, because I haven't actually knit with Noro yet. I bought and I've swatched, but I haven't actually made a garment yet. So I'm very excited. The only thing I'm a little bit worried about is that I tend to do a sewn bind off when I do 1x1 ribbing. But I know that Noro isn't like great for that. So I'm thinking that maybe I won't do 1x1 ribbing, and I'll try to do 2x2 ribbing if I can, but I do want to do a V-neck, so I don't know how it's going to work out. But just so that I can kind of bind off in like pattern instead of doing the sewn bind off. Yeah, we'll figure it out when we get there. That's a future me problem. No surprise that when I was at Little Woolies, I couldn't help myself and I had to pick up some more Jawoll. So this is the Lang Yarns Jawoll. This is in the color, I think it's called Sunshine. Oh, there's hair and everything. All my hair's everywhere. In Sunshine or Neon Yellow. It's 313. And again, it's just like I talked about before. It's light fingering. You get 210 meters per 50 grams. And I just think it's so bright, so beautiful. And my plan with this is to use it just as like a contrast to some socks that I want to make. I've got some Woolen Works Neon Lights fingering that I have used for a cow that I'm going to frog, because I'm just never going to finish it. So I am planning on frogging that, knitting up some fun socks, and then using this as the contrast, because I think it'll be just so fun and bright. And I never really knit with neons other than like bright pinks, but never a neon yellow, and I think it would look really, really, really eye-catching. Now we're getting into the yarn that I purchased at the Coburg Yarn Market. So I wasn't really planning on going. It was a couple weeks ago now, but I was getting mad FOMO. Like everyone on the Saturday that was posting, I was like, oh God, I really want to go, but it's such a it's an hour hike just to get there. But then Gayan from Purlfect Pairings, she messaged me and said, are you going? And I was like, you know what, let's go. So I ended up picking up some goodies there, and yeah, let's have a look. The first thing I picked up was Maximoo yarns. So this is the their luxury sock base, and the color is called Strawberry Shortcake. And to me, this really reminds me of boysenberry ice cream. I love boysenberry ice cream. It's my favorite. I always get it when I go to the movies, and oh, it's just so pretty. So pretty. It's got these like deep berry reds. It's got these, you know, creamy sections and these like pink speckling, and I just think it looks so fantastic. I've used Maximu yarns before plenty of times. They're actually like the first like indie dyed yarn I'd ever knit socks out of, and I absolutely love it. Usually I go for their super soft sock, which is like a mix of merino, cashmere and nylon, but I just picked this up in the luxury sock. So this is a fingering 4-ply. It's 85% merino wool and 15% nylon, and you get 400 meters per 100 grams, and this is 100 grams. So I plan to make some socks, and my plan is to use this and the leftover that I have from this, the Gepard, to make like some cute little frilly socks. So this will be like the main sock body, and then this will be like the little frill. And I think it'll just be so sweet and so cute. So I'm very excited about that. Oh my God, I got fibers in my eyes. Jesus, didn't I just say that? I just said there's fibers everywhere. I'm going to get one in my eye, and I got one in my eye. There were quite a few vendors at the Coburg yarn market, so I was pretty much spoiled for choice when it came to like picking something that I wanted. But one of the stalls in particular really intrigued me because I had never seen their yarn in person before, and that was Tarn One Court. They're more affectionately known as Tarndi, but they're a homestead / farm based in southwestern Victoria, and it has been operated by the Dennis family since 1840, so a very long time. And it's actually the home of the first ever Australian sheep breed, which is the Polworth. So they specialize in Polworth in particular, and you can actually go and stay there. You can like go for a day trip, or you can stay there over like the weekend and, you know, get a full rundown and really indulge in the history of Tarndi. I really was intrigued both by the story, but also by their yarn. You know, that's what first caught my eye. And it's so beautiful. So this is the 4-ply fingering. It's 100% Polworth, non-superwash. And you get 384 meters per 100 grams. But you can really see it's so unique. Like you can see the twist is, you know, quite loose, but it's still very plump. You can see like how like squishy and supple it is. Like it feels lightweight, but it doesn't feel like flimsy. It feels just like a lovely, like whatever textured object that you're going to make with it is going to turn out really, really nice. So I bought 2 of these, and my intention is to make a shawl. I don't know which shawl yet. I had a few ideas, but yeah, it's super, super, super lovely. Like it's supple and plump and like lightweight, but it's like soft as well. I don't know how to describe it. Like superwash merino, I feel feels slippery, but this kind of has a little bit of texture, but still feels really lovely and silky. And I'm very excited to use this because again, I have never tried Polworth before, and it just feels very luxurious. And if I ever have the opportunity to go to Tarndi and check out the homestead, I would love to do that. That would be really, really cool. Again, steering away from the traditional merino blends, I've got a yarn here from Fiber Naturally. So Fiber Naturally specialize in alpaca yarn, and this one in particular has recycled Sari silk in it. And it's this lovely kind of, it's like kind of looks minty green, but it's more like a very faded foresty green. And it's got all these beautiful, those little speckles there are the recycled Sari silk. And this is an 8-ply, and I think the color is called Manna Gum, but I don't know. It was hard to find on their website, like whether this was the exact color because it doesn't say it on the label, but there's the label for your reference. And it's really lovely. It's very soft because of course it's alpaca, and it feels very, very silky. You get 200 meters per 100 grams, and I got 2 of these. And my plan with this was to make like an Oslo hat and maybe some gloves, something to match my stick season sweater. I didn't want to be too matchy and like have the same yarn that I'm using in the sweater for like accessories. So I thought this was kind of like a good in between because it has like little speckles of like yellow and green throughout from the Sari silk. And I really like using alpaca because it's a bit more drapey and it is really soft. And I feel like it would be perfect for like nice, soft, luxurious gloves. While I was there, I saw Melbourne City Dye Works had a stand and she had this awesome like rack full of minis and it was just too tempting not to get some. So I ended up picking up 6 minis from Melbourne City Dye Works and you can see it's pink and red. You know, the themes today are pink and red or minty greens. But anyway, I really love minis. But I don't really buy them very often because I usually have quite a lot of like fingering yarn left over. So it's not really worth buying any when I have so much to use. However, I did really want to do another Stella quilt cushion, but do it kind of like more monochromatic instead of having it like really contrasting. So I decided that I was going to do, you know, something lovely and tonal. So some of these are like quite variegated. You can see this one has like lovely purple and burgundy reds. And then you've got some that have like just a little bit of tonality, not really variegation. And this one's kind of like a cool tone pink. Then we've got one that is more like a traditional pink with a little bit of like warmer tones in it. And this one's like variegated again. And then we've got like a tonal red. So cute. Then we've got like more of a dark peachy orange that is a bit more variegated. And then of course we have like a kind of like a peachy nude tonal. So all of those together, I think they make a really good set of minis. Yes. I can't tell you the color names because these don't have individual color names, so I'm so sorry. I can't help you in that respect, but I can tell you the content. So the content of these is, of course, they're fingering 4-ply and they're 75% merino and 25% nylon. You get about 90 grams per 90 meters per 25 grams. And I've got 6, so I've got 540 meters in total. Yeah, I just love it. I really never splurge on minis, so this is definitely a treat for me. Yeah, I'm very excited to put these together to make a quilt cushion because they just look so fun. I just love minis. Like, they're like a little treat, you know? They're like a little, like, I feel like a whole 100-gram skein is a whole meal, and these are like dessert. I don't know if that makes sense. So as you enter the Coburg yarn market, they have the option, you can like buy raffle tickets for a raffle that will be drawn. There's 2 raffles, sorry. A raffle that was drawn during the yarn market and then a raffle that gets drawn later. And it was really cheap. It was like $2 and I bought $4, so 2 tickets, so $4 worth of raffle tickets. And I never win anything. Never ever. I never win anything. But I did win something at this raffle, so I'm pretty stoked. And I got some mohair. So this is a beautiful, like, very bubblegum pink kind of mohair by Swish Yarns. And I got 2 of these actually. Oh, so cute. And I'm just like flabbergasted that I won something. I'm so grateful. So these are 70% mohair, 30% silk. And this is in the colorway 41. And you get about 50 grams in each of the balls and it's 210 meters per ball. So I've got 420 meters to work with and they were free. Well, not free. They were $4, which you can't complain. Like I never win anything. And so I'm so happy to have won 2 of these. I think it's so cool. And they're just a fluffy, just very fluffy standard mohair with silk. And I'm stoked. So that's a cute little acquisition that I didn't really have to spend that much money on, and I love that I won. I'd almost like stole, actually, they called out the raffle winners while we were like browsing around, and I was actually picking minis from the Melbourne City Dye Works stand when Gayen was like, oh, I think they called your number. And I'm like, oh, like I never win anything. So I was like, oh, what do I do? Okay. And I like, I was like, do I go now? And they're like, yeah, let's go now. I'm like, okay. And I was like went to go like run away, like over to the raffle section. And Game was like, oh, like give me the minis, because I was like, oh yeah, like better not steal these, like here, take these and I'll go grab my prize. But yeah, I accidentally almost robbed her. Alrighty, so last but not least is something that I've been wanting for a while, and I finally bit the bullet and forked out the money and got it. And that is the Knitting for Olive Merino. So this is a fingering, like a light fingering yarn. It's 3-ply. It's 100% merino wool, and they come in 50-gram balls. Now, each of these has about 250 meters per ball. Now, because this is a fingering weight yarn, I am planning on using this in a DK pattern, so I'm going to hold it double together. So I had to buy quite a lot. So I bought 12 balls, which will give me about 1,500 meters of DK equivalent yarn. Obviously, 1,500 meters, which is 3,000 meters, which is 12 balls, is quite a lot. And forking out that kind of money on something that I hadn't really seen in person did make me a little bit hesitant. However, I have been on a mission to find the perfect red. I'm very, very picky and selective when I have like an idea in my mind. It's either like a pattern idea or a yarn color. Like I can be like super like tunnel vision in that sense that I just want to find exactly what I envision. Like I want exactly that, which like leads to hours of scrolling Ravelry and like hours of searching different yarn stores. But I was looking for a red that wasn't like orange or warm based. I wanted something that was blue based, like really cool. And I found that in the Knitting for Olive. So I don't know if it's really coming across on the video, but this is called Red Currant. That's the color. And it is truly a blue based yarn. And it looks, I just think it suits my skin tone way better than a warm red. A blue red is something that I think is really good for people who have kind of like cooler, like green or blue undertones, which I have. So I was really stoked to find this, and I just wanted to give it a go. I wanted to try it. Everyone talks about it, and I was just curious. So I ended up purchasing it from the Knitting for Olive website directly, just because if I was to purchase this in Australia, the price per ball is kind of insane. So you ranges between $17 and like $22-ish, which is kind of nuts for 50-gram balls. Like that's very expensive, I think. And I understand that there's like shipping costs involved and there's margin on top of that, like, but damn, that's expensive. Like even if I had, gone the cheaper end and paid $17 a ball for this, I need 12 balls. So it worked out to be like over $200, plus I would have to pay for shipping. Versus when I bought it from the Knitting for Olive website, it worked out to be about like $10.70 with conversion, because it's all in euros. And then because I'd never shopped with them before, I got a like coupon code discount, so I had free shipping. So it worked out to be about $128-ish, which I think is pretty reasonable for like a, what's considered a higher end or like luxury yarn, enough to make like a cardigan or like a sweater's worth. I think that that's like pretty reasonable. Like I was pretty happy with that price, but I was just shocked at how expensive it was. Even the shipping, if I hadn't have gotten that free, I think it was around 16 euros. So that would have been around 25 Australian dollars. Even with that, it's still cheaper than buying it in Australia. So the shipping actually wasn't that bad. Yeah, it just blows my mind. But like I understand like Australia is far away from everything, but yeah. I'm so glad I did purchase it from the website. So if you've never shopped from them before, I would definitely, have a look at it and get that discount code, because I think it's worth it for the money that you save versus spending the money here. And yeah, it's nice. It's like soft, and I actually knit up a swatch in it. So this is the swatch that I knit, and I think these are in 3.75 millimeter needles, because that's one of the vest patterns that I was looking at. And it's got like nice stitch definition. I definitely think that because it's light fingering, it's a bit thinner than a traditional DK, so I think I'll end up sizing down in my needle size. But one interesting thing that I was surprised at with this yarn is that it does feel very luxurious when you're knitting with it, because I thought, oh, it's just merino, like can't feel that nice. But it does. It's not that it feels silky, but it feels luxurious. It feels almost moisturized. It felt like when I was like total opposite to the cotton merino from Rosaria's, the Jardim that I'm using for my Tolsta tee, where it feels like very dry, like it's almost like sucking the moisture out of my hands. This feels like it's moisturizing my hands. It was, yeah, it's really quite, annoyingly, I didn't want to like it as much because it is pricier. So annoyingly, I do actually like knitting with it. And it does actually feel really nice and luxurious. So it is what it is. But yes, so that wraps up everything that I'm going to talk about today. Thank you so much for sticking along while I ramble on about everything that's happened in the last 4 weeks of my knitting life. I'm so glad that you guys are here and that I get to share all this with you. And if you have any questions or, you know, have any suggestions in regards to like what type of patterns you think would look good with the new yarn I bought, I definitely love to hear it in the comments below. And if you haven't already, please give this video a like. It really helps me out. And if you want to see more of these videos, feel free to subscribe. Alrighty guys, see ya. Bye.